what is ICMP used for with IPv4? Well, typically it's just used for diagnostics tests. For example, it's part of the pinging or trace routing or sending back messages when a packet gets dropped. So the packet's dropped because of the time to live being expired. Then we have a ICMP time to live exceeded message that comes back. With ping, we have our echoes and our echo replies. So it's primarily designed for diagnostic tests with IPv4. Well, for IPv6, we have a completely different protocol. And I mean it's completely different because it is not the IPv4 ICMP protocol enhanced. No, we are dealing with a completely new option here called ICMP v6. So ICMP for IPv4 is known as protocol ID 1, right? If you're looking at a protocol field, you're going to see 1 listed for IPv4. Well, it's actually 58 for ICMP v6. You see, a lot of our protocols and services for IPv6 are simply just revamped versions of IPv4. For example, dynamic routing protocols. For EIGRP, the protocol number is 88, regardless of whether it's for IPv4 or IPv6. It kept the same. For OSPF, same idea. It's protocol 89. But with ICMP, they completely rebuilt it. They completely came up with something new that would give us way more features and abilities. So we have a completely new protocol number that for 58. So for IPv4, it's protocol number 1, the transport layer, and for ICMP v6, it's protocol number 58 for the transport layer. So what do we have as enhanced features here? Well, we're still going to get our diagnostic tests, but now we have built into this features like router discovery. And with router discovery, we have 2 different message types. We have router solicitation messages and router advertisements. So when I'm an end station and I boot up, I want to know, is there a default gateway out there? Is there somebody that can give me IP addressing information using stateless address auto configuration? Well, I send out a router solicitation message. And router advertisements are going to be sent from the routers to give me the information I need for stateless address auto configuration. So router discovery, very important process, and relies now on ICMP v6. Now, neighbor discovery, that's different than router discovery. Neighbor discovery uses neighbor solicitation messages and neighbor advertisement messages. Still part of ICMP v6 though. What is neighbor discovery? What is it? Well, let me remind you about an old feature for IPv4. ARP, Address Resolution Protocol. What is Address Resolution Protocol all about? It's all about figuring out the MAC address of a device in your local area network based on its IP address. So I know the IP address of the device I want to talk to, but I need its MAC address. I use ARP. Neighbor discovery is the replacement to ARP. So ARP does not exist for IPv6. We have neighbor discovery instead, using neighbor solicitation messages and neighbor advertisement messages. But it still accomplishes the same goal. I need your MAC address. I know who you are based on your IPv6 information. So I need your MAC address now. Are IPv6 MAC addresses the same as IPv4 MAC addresses? Yeah, because they have nothing to do with IP, right? Remember, MAC addresses are at layer 2 of the OSI model. They are burned into our network interface cards. They have nothing to do with IP. So the MAC addresses are still the same, regardless of whether you're using IPv4 or IPv6. So ARP got me the MAC addresses for IPv4 addresses. Neighbor discovery is going to get me the MAC addresses based on IPv6 addresses. This is all part of ICMP v6.